Welcome, guys. Welcome to Talking Comics. Jesse, I know you. We were on a show together
Uh-huh.
on Ed Davis's show.
Yep.
That was a lot of fun. I had Ed on a few weeks ago. He's a great dude.
But yeah.
So happy his Kickstarter went through. It was a little touch and go there for a minute, but he got it through. But Joe, I don't know you. Introduce yourself. You're both gonna do it, but Joe, you go first.
Yeah. No, I guess I missed that one. I've been on Ed's show a couple of times too. Um, so, my name is Joe Soliz. So my wife and I own Child's Play Comics. Little what you were mentioning before you started recording that you used to own a shop. Well, so did we. We used to own one here in New Braunfels before COVID. Thankfully, we sold it way before COVID happened. But yeah, it was a game and comic shop. She was our game master. I was a comic book guy, so I always tell people we're a match made in nerdy heaven. So, so after we sold that, and we kept the LLC and all that, the name, because our last name is Child, so that's where the name comes from. And so we did like a YouTube show there for a while, and then when the pandemic hit, that's when our son was born, and so we were pretty much in isolation. And that's when, our friend Roy, the one that Jesse mentioned earlier, that they went to high school together, but I went to college with him. He's an artist as well, and we always had this idea to do a comic. And for literally 20 years, had different starts and stops and never actually got it done. And finally, during the pandemic, we did. So that was the first one we did. And then my wife and I had our mascot for our shop, which is based on her, and that ended up being our second comic. And then at some point, Jesse got the comic bug bit, and he started doing it. So now we've been doing this for 5 years now. So it's crazy. It just went by just like that. So
Awesome. Yeah, we're almost 2 years in, and it's like hard to believe. Like I'm now getting like notifications like a year ago you posted this kind of stuff. It's just weird seeing that. I've been doing it long enough to start getting those. And we're 140 some episodes in. It's crazy. But my daughter and I have a great time doing this together. I'm sorry she couldn't join. It's school started back, so she had to get home and get ready for school tomorrow and homework and all that fun
She's
stuff.
got to study or she's going to end up like us.
Um, I would almost rather her end up like us. Not really. Well, she did tell me last week. So we went to Terrificon up in Connecticut last week, and we stopped by New York City and I took her into Times Square and the whole New York pizza thing. And she told me when we got back to the hotel that night, she's like, I'm just gonna move to New York City, live on the streets, and panhandle $5 a day and buy $1.50 a sliced pizza. I'm like,
Hey, that's
that's
more of a plan than most people have moving to New York City.
yeah.
right. That's a great point.
You can make it anywhere, right?
So Jesse, give us your intro. What got you here?
Name's Jesse. I am a veteran in the game industry. I've been in the game industry for 25 and a half years, a little bit over 25 and a half years now. And I grew up with Roy back home in South Texas, and him and I used to draw together and do all that. I ended up moving up to Dallas, where I went to the Art Institute. I ended up dropping out, but was very stubborn about becoming a statistic. So I forced myself basically into the game industry, just working hard and all that. My roommate and I at the time, who also grew up with us down south. So we both got in the game industry, and then that's where Roy met Joe down in Kingsville. And then through that connection, we met, and like I had mentioned before, we've just been kind of creative together, even when we weren't doing anything. Like Joe, weren't doing anything publicly, I should say. Like Joe and Roy had like a little web comic, which bleeds into their How to Hunt a Hero comic, and or I should say it's the prequel to it all. I was there and I was helping them with art and stuff like that. We'd write and send emails to each other about story ideas and everything. So, fast forward, like Joe said, to the pandemic, and they sent me their first comic book, and at the time. Unfortunately, we had just lost a friend, a mutual friend of ours, and I was really struggling trying to figure out how to deal with his passing. And when I sat here for a long time with our comic, just kind of like looking at it and like dissecting it and seeing exactly how it was put together and everything, because that was something, in the 90s, we grew up in the 90s, and the late 80s with the which is, what I would say now is kind of like, in my opinion, my golden age of comics. Um,
Mhm.
and we always wanted to make comics, right? That's when Image and Malibu and all those new presses were coming out with all these new creators and new characters, and it was so exciting. It was so extreme and everything like that. It was just so perfect. I think that was a flash in the pan. Like, I don't think that could ever be recreated again. But we always wanted to make comics, and so I sat here with that comic book, and I was like, why can't I do this? What, like, here it is. I have a physical proof that it can be done. No longer was it some mysterious thing that DC and Marvel and other big boys were doing or whatever. It was my friends had just done it. And so I thought about it, and at the time I was formulating making a game to deal with our friends passing. And it's expensive and it takes forever to make a game. And I looked at comics and I was like, oh, this is a kind of a lower barrier of entry to just get a story out. And so that's kind of what started me in there. And you know I just brainstormed for a bit, and suddenly the words just started coming out, and I wrote a ton of issues. And before I knew it, I was ready to make my first comic. So just Joe helped me figure all that stuff out in the beginning, and here we are. For me, it's 3 years later. For Joe, it's 5 years later. Here we are, making comics. I just did San Diego Comic Con for the first time, which was always a bucket list thing. That's where I met Ed for the first time there, in
Sweet.
person.
Right.
That was an incredible, incredible experience, and I hope to be able to do that again next year, because that was absolute insanity. But yeah, that's kind of like the long short of it, on how we ended
Did
up
you
here.
have a booth or did
Yeah,
you just attend? You guys had a booth?
I
Sweet.
had a table. I had through some connections to the game industry and all this and that.
Okay.
They managed to get me a table. Well, there was a lot of drama surrounding it, but at the end of the day, I had a portion of a table, but enough to make a presence. That's all that really matters. Um, and my wife and I, we just basically sold, and we sold almost our entire stock and made a ton of money. And it just lined up perfectly because I had just released my current book, which is Jankla, and that was perfect timing, absolute perfect timing for the whole thing, and it flew off the shelves like nothing before, and that I've ever seen, at least. And that introduced me to several publishers, and I got to do all my follow-ups and everything, and just see where I'm at, see what happens for next year.
That's awesome. I've done I did a portion. I had a portion table, half table, basically. And it ended up being like a quarter table at Terrificon, which was awesome because I got to meet my artist who did my book in person for the first time, and it was really his table, and we were kind of sharing with him. And I had like a third of the table with my stuff, but it's his stuff too because he created. He's the other half of the partnership, right? The creativeness, and it was just so much fun being there and meeting them and getting to meet these people for the first time. Is just an amazing feeling. Like I can't wait to get out to Texas and meet everybody out there that I've met online, and it'll happen because my best friend's gonna get married here soon, and I have to be out there for that. So
Awesome.
I'll make it happen. I'm hoping he considers me because I know he will when he's planning his wedding date around a convention. So we'll see.
I'll just go for Broken Habit at the convention. Is he a nerd too?
Ooh, see, I got to let him know that. Say, all right, pick a convention, have the wedding at the convention center, the same place.
I mean, if she's not willing to do that, she's not the one. Just let him know.
I think she would actually be game for it, which is the cooler part, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what her childhood wedding dreams, but she's nerdy enough with she's that's how they met, right? Is through video games and stuff like
I
that.
mean, I
So
proposed to my wife while she was dressed like Princess Peach and I was Luigi. So
I watched your video on your website. That was a
Oh,
good
you
story,
did?
good story video.
Oh,
Yes,
thanks.
that was it was very, it was a great storyline. It was very similar, like you were saying. You had the store, you had to get rid of the store, you know, all this stuff. Like very similar things have happened in my past. Luckily, like you, I sold my store in 2017,
Mm,
and thank God I did not own that thing when COVID hit because
yeah,
there's no way I would have survived that.
Yeah.
Like there's no
yeah,
way we
same
would have.
here.
I don't know what we would have done. I feel so bad for people that did have to deal with that, and a lot of people survived and are stronger for it, and I'm glad they did. I know we tried to support our local stores as much as we could during that time, so that was a crazy world we lived in. So, Joe, what's the comic book you're working on right now?
Well, I mean, we have three main titles that we do. The one that I mentioned that me and Roy started off with was this one, Hot Out to Hero.
How to Hunt a
Uh,
Hero. Okay.
yeah, this is the zero issue that he did back at the beginning,
Is
and
this the one that your other friend worked on, and then this is the one where it all started?
yeah,
You were
my
talking
friend
about? Okay.
yeah my friend Roy drew this. And so essentially, the way we pitch this one is it's a world without superheroes, but the creatures of legend have powers like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, all those, creatures. And this woman in the armor, this is Ava, we always jokingly call her like our evil Batman slash Iron Man because she's super smart, super rich, and she figured us out a way to build these armors to go capture these creatures and experiment on them and learn how to extract their powers. And then later she meets a guy because this is a college setting named Joe, who's kind of like an amalgamation of both me and Roy. And he's very nerdy. He's always wanted to be a superhero. Well, she finds this out, and so she decides to grant him his wish, but without him knowing. So it kind of becomes a moral dilemma because she secretly infuses him with all these powers, makes him the world's first superhero, makes his dreams come true. But she never asked him if she could do that to him. So this is our villain book basically. So it's kind of like a fun villainous like rom-com basically, and so we've got the first couple issues of that one out, and I've got that outline for issue 2. I just need to write it.
There you go.
But that was the first one. The one that I mentioned earlier was the mascot for our store. This is Malia Mayhem. It's basically my wife as a kid because she loves cosplay, tabletop, and so this one, she's a little girl. She goes to a Comic-Con and she finds a magical D20 and it allows her to go to worlds that are based on board games. And so every issue she gets to go to a different game. So this one, it's like a D&D world. This one is Settlers of Catan, and you can barely see him here. But that's the troll. He's a creature that's in each game trying to destroy from the inside out. So we came up with the
Okay.
idea of when people play a game in real life, they're like, oh, this game is broken. Well, it's because the troll's messing it up, and Malia's trying to stop him. So
I
there.
love that. And he'll go from issue to issue.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. And then the last one is our newest one. This is my attempt to cater to the anime kid crowd because uh, this one's done in black and white. And the artist who does Malia did this one. She's from Chile, and she told me that growing up there's more manga, so that's why her style is more leaning towards that. So I was like, well,
Okay.
this is perfect for you. But talking about, you mentioned earlier about COVID being a crazy time. Well, I knew eventually my subconscious was going to have to deal with that somehow because it was very traumatic, especially having a kid in the middle of all that. So this story was my answer to that. So basically, it's a world where all these like monsters have invaded Earth, and we've been fighting them for like 4 years at this point. And so now it's just normal that they exist. So it's like my allegory for COVID. And so Fanny is she's an ex-soldier who's now a servant for this rich family. So she doubles as their security and their servant. So this one's a straight up action comedy. Like I have a lot of fun with her being goofy and literally being like in the middle of a dinner party, fighting off these monsters and then having to go right back to the dinner party. So this one we just released this year. And so Carla Diaz is the one who does the art. She's finishing up the newest Malia and then she's going straight into this one. So a lot of cool stuff coming from our ends.
That's so cool. Yeah, that's I did notice when you sent that to me earlier that it was very manga style art, and I was gonna ask about that. So that makes a lot of sense. And the crossover's real, right? Like it's gonna work perfect. So it should be fun. I think it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I've done two anime conventions this year, and it's done pretty well so far. But so is Malia, because I mean she's the same artist and she's still got that manga style to
Okay.
her. And then it's so funny because Jesse taught me how to repitch that, because he's like, in anime that's called an isekai, when a character goes to another world and has an adventure there or whatever. So he's like, that's how you pitch it at an anime convention. You're like, this is our isekai. So
Okay. How did the first one, the hero one, or the villain, I guess villain,
uh,
but How to Hunt
I'm
a Hero
at the
do
anime
with the
conventions.
anime?
It did okay. I think
Okay.
for that one, a lot of people they like the design and the concept. Uh, but uh, but yeah, I mean, there's definitely some anime influence in there. Like Roy, I know Roy really put like a lot of Darth Vader into that design, and a little bit of Shredder from Ninja Turtles, and so there's more 80s influence, I think, for his book. But I mean, Roy is like a huge 80s pop culture. It's so funny. He'll tell you himself he can't remember what he did yesterday, but he'll remember trivia from 40 years ago.
Oh, that's just our age, I think. So
Yeah. Hmm.
I've just wondered, we don't do great at conventions, so we only have the one book. Um, we barely get like our table back, like our table money back. So I'm just trying to add some more products to
That's
get,
good. That's good with
help
one
that.
book, though.
Right, for one book,
Yeah.
that's hard, but I
Yeah.
started adding like I'm going down this crazy path of learning to draw myself now, which is insane. Because I haven't drawn anything since high school. Um, but I'm having so much fun. So like my desk is just covered with like pens and pencils and Copics and
Mm.
stuff like that. Um, so I'm really excited. I actually got to sell a piece of art at Terrificon, which was so cool. And I did a
Nice.
little 8-page zine myself. My daughter did one. I think Jesse, you grabbed one of her zines, I think.
Got it here.
Oh, and her actual comic. Look at that. And her zine. Look at that. Right there it is. That's awesome, dude. So we've had a blast doing that stuff, and she does so good. Just she loves going to those conventions and befriending artists and creators, and she like hangs out with not really hangs out, but she gets to go talk to Stephanie Phillips, and like they
Mm.
talk, and so that's so
That's
cool for
awesome.
her, giving her good role models to look up to.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
So, Jesse, tell us about your latest book. I remember you talking about it, with the real blood and everything, right? Did
Oh,
that
that's
go
right.
through?
Because your daughter's not here. We can talk about it,
Right.
right?
Yeah, it's Jankla. These are the actual books here. This one is for one of my team members, but you can see how I splattered it there with blood. I painted like an
Yeah,
X and all that stuff in there.
that's so
Yeah,
cool.
no, that one I just got it out in April, I think, at the very end of
Okay.
April. And man, that thing has done insane amounts. I think I've ordered over 300 in the past 3 months, 3 or 4 months. Um,
Awesome.
yeah, I've sold so many of those. It's just crazy. I don't even have to really try. It's just they see some of the artwork, and I just kind of we have a I have a banner that sits up on top, and it's just got Chancla, with all her blades out and everything, and that's enough to just capture people's attention, and they're just like, "What is that?" And I just kind of say, yeah, it's a Mexican grindhouse book, 18 plus, about a group of mercenaries that go in on a job, get in over their head, and before they know it, they're in a new world of gods and monsters. And pretty much everyone's like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. So that's
Quick
been, yeah,
pitch.
that's been pretty dang good. Like it is, again, like I said, at San Diego Comic Con, I don't know, man. It was nuts just how fast that thing was selling, and that's because we were I don't think we were in a very good area, but we kind of were. But because we're close to one of the entrances, so people could see it, and
Okay.
then I had that thing extended as high up as it would go, so people could see it immediately.
Right.
If I would have made it double-sided so people on the other side would have been able to see it, I think I
Mm.
would have done way better. But I mean, it wouldn't have mattered because we pretty much sold everything. So, I had people buying like 5 or 6 books for gifts and stuff like that. One person, a couple people were like, just give me one of every cover, you know, and that's just kind of the way the conventions have been. It's been insane how popular that book is, and now I have the pressure of writing the follow up to it, which is the full story, which is like 6 chapters or so, and so I'm trying to get that one just right, but I like I won't have it done for next year for sure, so I decided that I'm just going to have to write another offshoot, just a one shot in that world
Okay.
to kind of dive into one of the characters. And so that's what I've been doing these past couple days. I'm almost done with the script, and I got to get my artist started on it at the end of this month to get it done by the full thing by the end of the year. So I'll have it ready for next year's convention season.
What other conventions do you do?
Um,
A lot.
so
Yeah.
we do a lot of them here in Texas. Joe and I and Roy, we do. I mean, on the regular, there's one in New Braunfels that is coming back next year. There's that one. Um, there's a
South
big,
Texas Comic Con.
yeah, South Texas Comic Con, which that's what I get my Chancla book ready for because that's basically targeted for that audience. That's been very good for us. Um, Comic Palooza out in Houston. They're not doing it this year, but we were doing Greater Austin Comic Con. Um, there was a couple others.
Yeah, Big Texas Comic Con's coming up in October. And then those are like some of the Bell County Comic Con we just
Yeah,
did
Bell
up
County.
in Belton. And then those are some of the like bigger ones. And then we try to sprinkle in some smaller ones. And then plus, since I do all ages books, we've gotten to do stuff in schools and libraries.
Ooh, go into that.
So, yeah.
Talk about the schools and library things.
Well, the best one as far as how big it ended up being, and I was shocked, it was up here right above Dallas. There's a community called Round Rock, and so Round Rock High School has been putting on a Comic Con for I think it's 10 years or something like that. And then we learned about it and got in, and I thought, oh, well, it's going to be a nice little event at a school. It's like, no, it's like a legit Comic Con inside that high school. Like
Dang.
whoever organizes it, they do such a good job. Which I joke with my wife because she's an educator. I'm like, of course they do because they're teachers. They know how to organize things. But yeah, the school is built like a big square, so they just bring all the vendors that fill that, and like you're peering out into the courtyard, and they give you a deal where like if you host a panel, you can basically have a free table. And so I've done 3 different panels, and it's so funny because like the first one was pretty decent, the second one was a complete bust, and then this year was super packed. So
Wow.
it's like trying to learn what that age group wants to hear about. Um,
Yeah, because you guys both have like, kids books like Teen Strike, Jesse. That's an all ages book, right?
Yeah, it's a teen. I mean, there's a little bit
Teen?
of
Okay.
a little bit of drinking, and they deal with like teen issues and stuff like that. But I don't ever
Right.
outright say this is beer or anything like that. But that targets like kind of like a 14 and up kind of group. Uh, Joe's books, obviously, Malia's an all ages book. He rates Fanny as a teen book as well, or at least 12 and up or whatever. I have one called Dinosaur Planet, which is my little activity book that I made. It's just my wife and I make it here. We print them, we cut them, we staple them, do all ourselves. But it's little
Awesome.
zine size. It's 6 by 6, and it's got a bunch of like little word puzzles and things like that. What showed potential on that one is I do conferences all over the world, um, and comic book convention, but conferences specifically for my job is when
Right.
I was going to Brazil. A lot of the people that I know there in Brazil, they know I do comics. So I was like, hey, let me know if you want any of these comics. And when they found out that I had this activity book, they all wanted it. All of them wanted it because it helps teach their kids English, because it's an all ages book with
Oh, right.
word matches and jumbles and stuff. So
Yeah.
for next year, I might do something larger for that. But that's a pretty cool one. And so I was considering potentially doing it in Spanish for here to, so parents can have their kids learn Spanish and stuff like that, which I think would be really cool too. Um, and Roy's going to start working on his all ages book as well. So yeah, I mean, it is definitely a need. We always hear that from parents when Joe pitches his book. He's usually like, "Hey, we have all ages books here," and some we hear it quite often. Like, "Oh wow, like no one here has books for my kids, right? Like no one here has all ages books,"
Right.
which is cool. So we have the two extremes I think that do really well, which is all ages books, and then my 18 plus book. Those are just doing really well. Then in the middle you have Teen Strike, which is my passion project. It's going to get done no matter what, but it's one of those where sometimes it's harder to sell that because it is quite a commitment to read. I mean, I sent you the PDF. That's just kind of where we're
Hmm.
at. It's a lot of pages, and that one is a little bit harder because the books are a little bit thicker, and we found that like the $5 price point. Oh my God, parents love that. And then you bundle something together for $10, that makes it even better. So trying to find printers and stuff to get us down to those price points is it's not fun, but it's an act that we're trying to figure all this out to get our book prices down fair,
Right.
so parents could be motivated to buy them for their kids. Even Teen Strike, right? Like they have teenagers and stuff, and it's just like trying to get it down. But I am now, once I finish these next two chapters for Teen Strike, that's a natural break point for the first story arc, and I'm thinking about minimizing that down to manga size and just doing it in black and white, and then perhaps going forward, that's what Teen Strike's going to be. Is going to be manga size just going forward because it's just manga is popular, it just is.
Man, my daughter can't get enough of them. Every week we're at the comic shop. It's a couple comics and a manga. It's like, but she loves them because she loves her comics. She's more of a comic collector, right? She'll read them, but she likes the variant covers of the Harleys and this and that. But the manga she loves because they fit. She can throw them in her backpack and she has something to read at school, where she can't take her, pristine comics to, put them in her backpack to read at school. So she loves trades and manga. So I get it.
Yeah, we just experimented with that size for a Kickstarter that I did in January, where it was more like the manga size. So
Yeah.
so Jesse helped me shrink everything down and make sure it fit, and it was a nice 100-page collection of basically all our stuff up to this point,
Oh, very
including
cool.
yeah, including some of Jesse's stuff too. So yeah, I think it's just smart to put, if you can somehow work that into what you're offering, then yeah,
Yeah.
you'll get those younger kids interested because that's what they're used to. I mean,
That's the way to do it. You are
yeah.
100% correct on that. Now, when you create that manga, did you go backwards? What I consider backwards, or did you
Oh
do
no, no, no,
traditional?
no. No, I did traditional because
Okay.
I saw another creator that I followed that he was having pretty good success with just doing it like this. I mean, he did
Okay.
do a manga too, but he had a few comics or that were basically mangas but done in comic format. And that's the way that I share it to the kids. And eventually when I have enough of Fanny and Malia and How to Hero, we will do the smaller presentation as well. So that alone will grab their attention because I know DC just recently did those compact editions and I think they're doing well.
They're doing
So
I mean,
yeah.
I've got a few of them. So, I
Hmm.
mean, it's just at $10
Yeah.
for a full, which is insane price, cheap, like for a full color complete story. Like I bought a couple for myself, but my daughter's got probably five or six, seven, eight, 10 of them. I don't know, a bunch of them. She loves those compacts, the mangas, the anything she can throw in her backpack. Some trade, she did. We just got her this one. She's a huge Stephanie Phillips fan, so I got her the Grimm, volume one. So she'll read the trade paperbacks too. Um, but she'd rather have the little smaller compacts for her book bag.
Yeah, I getting to a point where I had enough content for a trade was really key because now with my new printer, I can print trades and offer them it's just they're $20 still, but I don't necessarily need to uh offer them at 20. I could get the price down to 15 if I really, really wanted to. And you're talking
Right.
like over like 120 pages of story, it's pretty big. But I think shrinking them down, going a little bit more compact, and potentially even going in there and grayscaling or making it just straight up just black and white. I think that there I could get it probably a full like maybe not all 120 pages, but I could probably get the entire story, which is like, or the entire first act, which is like 300 pages. I could probably get them down to about $15 each, or maybe even $10 each for all I know. I really need to
Yeah, if you
price
go
that.
black and white, you might be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah, would you'd leave it traditional, like left to right
Yeah, because
reading?
I actually have no problem flipping them, but there are some characters that are asymmetrical where it actually matters left or right. And so it's just one of those where I'm just like, I don't know, like it just depends on how much work I need to put into it, right? Because at the end of the day, flipping it, sure, whatever. I might have to
Right.
redo some words in the background or something like that. That's fine. But
Yeah.
yeah, like a sign or something like a storefront or something that says something in the back, I might have to flip that stuff around. But I don't know.
Yeah,
I need
I
to
want
experiment.
there to be that debate, kind of like the way there is about Avatar: The Last Airbender. They're like, is it anime? Is it what? It's like it is. It's heavily influenced by, but the way that it's made and where it's made and all that. It's like I want to be like so. I mean, this is like a manga. It's pretty
Right.
close, but I won't go as far like you said the left to right or whatever because I don't know how to do that. It's like I don't want to pretend like
I
I'm gonna
can't.
stick
I
with what I
tried.
know.
My dog, like I tried reading. She got a Joker one, and I can't do it. It was just too weird for me. I don't read a lot anyway. I read comic books. That's like the only thing I read, and some trades, and omnibuses, as you can see behind me. All these. Well, maybe you can't see behind me. All these Thor omnibuses. My mic's in the way. There you go. I read all these Thor omnibuses, and I can't. I don't know. I tried reading the left to right or right to left, and it screwed with my head too much. But that's all right. What got you guys into writing? Like, where did it start? Where did the love of writing start?
Say love for writing.
Finally, the truth comes out. I'm the same way. I never thought I would write anything in my life until I wrote that comic script, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I liked it. I didn't love it.
It's always been writing for me. That's why it's taken me so long to get anything actually done because before, having artists of any kind, I was just like, it's either I write it in a novel or,
Okay.
it's not going to get done. And I've tried that in the past. But I don't know. I guess just, yeah, it was, I mean, it's funny. I dug out some old like grade school stuff. It was like a Star Wars book and it was showing like the steps of how to draw Han Solo. And I sent it to Jesse, and he's like, "That's actually not bad." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's where I was back then. It's not bad, but I didn't have the patience to continue from there." Like,
Right.
and sometimes that's the problem with writing too. Is like, I let a lot of stuff stew in my head for a long time, much to my friend Roy's chagrin, probably because he's waiting for the script. I'm like, "It's coming. It's up here, dude. Like, just let it stew. I promise." Like once it all comes together up here, then it easily flows out here through my fingertips, but like I'll just be going throughout my day and I'll just start thinking about a part of the story that wasn't working for me or something I couldn't figure it out, and all of a sudden it'll click and I'm like, and I'll just make a quick note on my phone, and that way I can go home and do it later. But yeah, writing was just always my outlet to actually create something because
Okay.
I didn't feel like I had the patience for art or anything like that. And so I guess I was always, as I was growing up, I was always kind of studying storytelling. I just didn't know that I was like, Star Wars, the original is one of my favorites because it taught me what the monomyth is, the hero's journey. And I didn't know what that was until I learned about it later in life. And I retroactively went back and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I see why that's so appealing. Like it hits all the, all the parts of that journey. And so then, I just, even now as I watch something, I know I know Jesse said he always had this as he made video games that he couldn't see. video games or even special effects in a movie, he's like, I can see the flaws. And I'm like, yeah, sometimes I find myself doing that, but then that to me, whenever something does break it past my critical part and I get lost in the story and then it's over and I'm like, wow, I really enjoyed that. I'm like, oh, I never even like stopped to think about what I didn't like. Like that's when I know
I
that the
love
story
that.
was good.
Yeah, same.
So
So when you say you work on video games, Jesse, are you doing writing? You doing the coding? What are you doing?
I do basically, I mean, I've done almost everything that you can do in a game, but my main, I guess, skill or talent or whatever is doing art and creative. So anything like that.
Okay.
Like I'm a character artist, concept artist, art director, but I do everything still. I texture. I've done writing. I've done voice work, I've done animation, I've done technical art, I've done simple coding. I've done a lot of stuff. A lot of things you can almost anything you can think of basically in a game. I've done. I mean, it's 25 and a half years, teams of all sizes.
Yeah.
I've done it all.
This is crazy that I had a video game designer on last week.
Oh yeah.
Adam Tierney. Tierney, something like that. Anyway, he lives in California. He writes, he knows Ed too, but he's a video game writer. That's what he's done for like the last 25 years. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
Looks like he worked on River
So-
City Girls and a couple other.
Yep.
Yep.
Some X-Men, an old X-Men game, a Batman game for the Wii. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, geez. Usually have my phone muted. Sorry. There we go. Yeah, that's crazy. Video game stuff is, and how it was cool to see how it tied into like, an X-Men game. He's working with Marvel and the artists and the, everything, and it's all, it all kind of goes together.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, I had to learn to be careful of when not to, because Jesse's my friend. I want to brag about him, and I've had to learn to be like, okay, when can I share with the person in front of us that he makes video games, and when can I not? Because sometimes that's inviting a trap, and that they'll be talking to Jesse forever, and they'll never be able to escape.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But yeah, he did have a blink and you'll miss it cameo in the border.
Mhm.
Oh, very cool. I'll have to go check that. I have not seen that movie yet.
Yeah, I've done a lot of stuff.
A lot of stuff. And so, do you do a lot of the artwork for your books too?
Pens, yes and no. Like I have pencilers that I hire to do the actual sequentials for me because a long time ago, obviously, when I was talking about being you know in high school and stuff, everyone wants to be the next Jim Lee and all that stuff. And when I got into college, I quickly realized that I was just not a sequential artist. I just really wasn't. I don't really necessarily have the patience for it. But I was having more fun creating the characters and doing animations and stuff like that. So that's what ultimately led me down my path. But like right now, I'm designing a cover for this upcoming book. So I do a lot of like my own pinups. I do a lot of covers. I'm a colorist. I am much better at coloring character concepts like I had mentioned before. I do a ton of character concepts. So everything that we do, my characters, or sorry, all the characters in my books, my concept artists and I, we concept them and we design them and do all that good stuff. But as far as the actual sequentials, now I don't do any of that. But I do all the art direction. I design a bunch of our logos. I do a lot of all that, all the fancy stuff, marketing, things like that.
Marketing's the hardest part.
It's hard. It's
Yeah, I'm really proud of him for this one because I told him you channeled your inner magical girl with this logo that he
Yeah.
made
Right?
for me. It's like he made it so
yeah,
pretty.
that's fantastic.
yeah, that was
Is that one available yet?
I've actually only been doing it at cons for now. It's not like on our
Okay.
website or anything. And it's just mainly because since we do Kickstarters, we try to or at least I do, try to put the main books there like when they're released. I might do some like right as the Kickstarter is about to launch just to test it out at a con. But like Jesse mentioned earlier, how we do the bundles, that works really well at cons, but it also works well on the Kickstarters. Like with Malia, the parents though, we actually came up with a really cool system. It actually happened kind of a happy accident, because since the first comic we did was originally was only 8 pages, and then we extended it to 12. These we can print and sell for $5. And the same thing with Malia's mural, or the same thing Fanny made. So those are great little intros to people, and just be like, these are the books. If you just want to try it out, it's only $5. But if you want to save some money, then we're like, you can get the issue 1 for another $5 and make it 10, or normally it'd be like $12 to get both. So that kind of system, like I was telling another creator, I have to think like a parent. Like, I know a lot of creators in this space, like they automatically default to $10, and I completely understand why. Like that's how they make their money, and that's how they're going to continue to making their books. But as a parent too, you know, I have to think of like, well, am I going to be able to sell a $10 book to more parents than not? I'm sure there would be that some would, and so that's just been part of the thinking. And even on the Kickstarters, I did that for Malia, like where the person who backed issue 1, they would get issue 0 as part of the tier. And so Fanny will have that same thing that when her issue 1 is done, is that, you know, more people, basically only the people who've gotten her at a con would already have her. So the Kickstarter community is like a whole other community that, you know, we probably have never really seen at a con. So
Right. Now, so your issue 0 is 8, like you said, 8 pages or 12 pages?
Well, we usually do like an 8-page story,
8 to 12,
and then four pages of like behind the scenes stuff. So it's a nice little format. Keeps it, like I said, on the cheap side.
Very cool.
And yeah.
Now, what about issue 1? How many pages is that?
It depends. So like Malia, since I'm paying an artist, that one's 24 pages. But since Roy drew How to Hero himself, he ended up going up to 32 pages because he was just like, I want to add this other battle scene. I want to add this. And
I'm going to add this. Hey, go for it.
Yeah. So it's cool, man. Just remember, raises the price of the book. So.
Right. And because that was a huge internal debate that I had too with my book. You know, my A cover $7, $6.99. And like, I did not want to go $10. Like, for whatever reason, there was, like, I did not feel like I could sell that book for $10. You know, 7's even, you know, probably a little much, but that's with my printer and everything. That's where we're at, right? And you know, and some, like you said, you can bundle a couple together. And then what made me feel even better about the 7 was like I could sell like the, you know, other exclusive covers, you know, a little bit more, you know, and if somebody really wanted those, I'd get my money on that end, and at least won't lose money. But like you, $7 is you know, I thought was, you know, fair, but I was like, man, I never even thought about doing like an issue 0, or even doing an 8-page. Like, we're doing these little 8-page little mini zines, which are pretty cool. But I thought I could easily blow those up and color them and make them a 8-page comic, or 8 to 12, you know, add a couple other pages for $5 should be no problem. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and even the special stuff, it's different for each issue. So like, since when Roy did the first one, the How to Hero, he just drew the 8 pages. So he later added just character bios in the back. So 4 pages of character bios.
Yeah.
Malia's, again, it's so funny how a lot of this is just kind of happy accidents. Malia's, you know, is the first one I paid for, so just like, okay, I can only afford 8 pages right now. I just want to just get this out there. So she sent me the designs of the characters as sketches first. And I was like, those are really cool. Like, can I have those as part of our deal? And she's like, of course, like, here. And so I just went through and I found a template that looks like the blue comic pages that people physically draw the books on. I found the template and I put her sketches in there, and then I just put a description of the character, and I just did that for each character. So I ended up with an additional 4 pages, and that's how that was born.
Perfect.
Fanny's ended up being more like a script, or like an old writing, basically. Like if somebody was writing in like a journal or something. I was still using the comic pages, but it just has a few of her behind the scenes stuff. So each one just ends up being its own thing, but it still follows that same format.
No, I love that. I'm gonna steal that idea. I'm
Sure,
gonna
yeah,
blow
go
my
for it.
my daughters and my zines up, and we're gonna make full size $5 comics. I think that's a brilliant idea. Put an ad at the end for the podcast, and done.
There you go.
You know. So, Jesse, where'd Dinosaur Comics come from, or entertainment? Sorry, is it entertainment or comic? Both
We're incorporated as or our LLC is Dinosaur Games. And so,
games.
yeah,
Okay.
that started back in 2011. Like we went out to make our own games and stuff. And yeah, for sure,
Okay.
we do a lot of work with indie teams and everything. Like right now, we're working on a game also on the side. But along the way, I just decided that let's just keep it going, Dinosaur Comics. And
I
so,
love it.
yeah, basically that's kind of where it came from.
I love it. All right. Well, cool. I've got a couple other fun questions for you guys. Uh, and you guys can both answer, obviously. Do you guys remember the first comic you guys ever read?
Not the first one that I read per se. I do have one that I consider the first comic that made me want to collect. Because I always tell people, I'm pretty sure my first comic was probably like the Return of the Jedi Marvel adaptation, just because I know I had those. But it's Detective Comics 606. If you look up the image, it's during a four-issue run where he's like fighting the Clayface of that era, and there's like an image of a ghostly Robin pointing a finger at Batman, and he's like crying. And somebody who grew up with Super Friends and the Batman Adam West show, I'm like, what the heck happened to Robin? Like, and I'm like 10 years old, when this came out. And so I got it, and that's when I started learning. Don't ask me how I learned all this with no internet, but somehow I learned that was Jason Todd, and that, so Dick Grayson used to be Robin, and it was like the wormhole, like, or, like the rabbit hole that you go
Right.
down. And so that I actually have that issue. I just shared it. We do a comic book club here in town at a shop once a month, and I just shared that because it was just that issue that I was just like, okay, like there's more to comic books than I think, because this just blew my mind that this was so complex of a story that I had to uncover, and it was really cool, almost like a detective,
Yeah.
which is appropriate as Batman. But
Who was your favorite superhero or comic character?
I mean, growing up, it was definitely Batman. In the Image
Batman.
days, I always gravitated towards Jim Lee's Grifter from the Wildcats. I just loved his
Ooh.
design. And I don't know, maybe just, the 90s with all the gunslinging and stuff. You had the movie Desperado and whatnot. And like, something about that character always appealed to me. So it's always been, between those two characters, I've really liked.
All right, Jesse. Same two questions. Who's your favorite superhero or comic character? Don't have to be a superhero.
Um, Favorite superheroes most likely like Blue Beetle, Ted Cord. Like that's always been kind of my guy. Like 'cause I grew up reading Justice League International. That wasn't the first stuff that I read. I can't remember what the first comics I read, but I know that when I was young, I was already buying the Archie digests.
Ooh.
So
Okay.
my mom would buy those for me, and but my brother's the one that introduced me to DC. So for me, it's always been about DC Comics, especially in the mid to late '80s after Crisis. Like on my wall, I have the Crisis Alex Ross thing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite pieces of art ever, and that's one of my favorite books ever. But basically, the Blue and Gold, Booster and Beetle have always been my favorites. Um, just that whole era of super buddies and stuff like that. Um, if it had to be like more popular heroes, it's usually like Batman. Like I always kind of appreciate like a Batman story, a good deconstruction of that and all everything. But yeah, I did grow up reading Archie. Like that's probably one of the reasons why I do really enjoy like slice of life type stuff. all my anime and some of my movies and stuff and games that I play are basically slice of life. It's just about teenagers growing up. That's always been some of my favorite stories, coming of age stuff.
Do you guys read any current series?
Right now I've been reading several indie guys from Kickstarter. Um, none of which are appropriate to mention on this show. But
Okay.
with or without your daughter here.
No worries.
But
I appreciate that.
but there's just some funny stuff in the indie space, man. Like there really is. I freaking love it. I think the indie space is a really good place for like people to just throw out ideas that are crazy. I'm a bit disillusioned when it comes to the big two because again, it's like the same thing over and over again. Although the new um not Ultimate, what is it?
Absolute.
Absolute, yeah.
Mhm.
The Absolute stuff I've been keeping up with. I've been needing to go buy some of the trades, but I just kind of like read through some of the summaries or I'll watch some YouTube videos on them. That stuff it's amazing. Like what they did with Absolute Batman. I really like that Batman a lot.
It's not my favorite comic I'm reading at the moment, but it's definitely up there.
And when it comes to the big ones, that's really it. I feel Marvel is just kind of placated to the movies, and it's just like, oh, here's more movie stuff. And I don't really like that. I like that DC is still kind of doing other things with them, even though they're not necessarily all for me. But I've always wanted a poor working class Batman. Like I've always wanted that. And yeah,
100%.
I'm just like, hell yeah, like this is awesome.
And Alfred's a badass.
Yeah,
which is awesome.
Yeah, man, like that stuff.
I'm particular to Alfred because the A in AJ stands for Alfred.
Oh,
so.
cool.
Nice.
Yeah,
so I've always been a Batman fan.
I've always liked it when they reintroduced Alfred as kind of like an ex-soldier. Ever since then, I've just been like, yeah, this is amazing. I'm actually a huge fan of 1966. The 1966 Batman, I haven't gone into the comics, but the TV series is one of my absolute favorite series. I have one of the Blu-rays signed by both Adam West and Burt Ward before the passings. I'll never get rid of that. And that was very formative in the type of comic books that I like. So I go either way. Like I love Golden Age style stories where it's just silly, over the top, kind of stuff where the worst thing you gotta worry about is, the Joker stealing 40 cakes or whatever, like that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I also really like dark deconstruction. I want to see Batman bruised and just barely surviving. And I don't, even though DC is basically just gods, they're just a pantheon of gods, and they're more powerful than like anything in the Marvel universe. There's something there about watching them get beat down that I've always really liked. And then Spider-Man. I've always been a big fan of Spider-Man, but Spider-Man done properly, of course. Again, like I'm a big fan of coming of age. And so whenever it's Spider-Man and he's struggling, even if it's not coming of age necessarily, I really dig it. Peter, what's the new one right now going on where he's a father, Peter B. Parker or whatever, where his daughter is
oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, he's in the Spider-Verse movies. So he got so popular that they made his own comic where he's a father. He's married Mary Jane, and he's got May, his little baby May, who also has spider powers. I love that. That is amazing. That is absolutely my type of Spider-Man story, where there are real consequences, and it's not just that's what gets me a little bored about like just regular Batman, where it's just like, oh well, give Batman a day and he can beat anyone. Yeah, okay, that's cool, and I'll use that card when I'm arguing, but at the same time, like it's just boring,
Right.
If he has to figure it out, cool. Yeah, I could see the interest in how he figures things out, but at the end of the day, it's just there's no consequences. But at the same time, I like 1966, but there's no consequences there. But I think that's a different type of storytelling that I think is just pure and innocent, and it's just like this is so great. Like this is really fun. It's just fun, and at the end of the day, it's just going to be a good story, whatever it is. So unfortunately, I was doing DC for a while, and then in the New 52, man, the the Swamp Thing stories were so good. Swamp Thing was amazing, and I stuck with that. And Animal Man was amazing as well. Basically, anything that Scott Snyder was really writing, and then the first like couple issues of Superboy when they redid that, that was so good. But then after when they came back, I really haven't kept up with it. I just kind of I moved to Brazil, so at that point in time, just stopped collecting comics, and I started getting into indie comics at that point, and because I could only buy stuff on my tablet because there's
Right.
comics distribution down there is nothing. So it was just whatever I can get digitally. At which point, they would have sales and stuff. So I was getting more into some of these other books, some of the other more obscure Image titles, or you know, I really like the Invincible universe, like all the little offshoot stories that they tell. I really like all that stuff. So, but recently, just indie creators, when we go to shows and I buy books. Yeah, I buy books from the indies and I just kind of read those and kind of enjoy them.
Love that. Joe,
Yeah.
what are your current series?
No, it's gonna be very similar because just for years it was so funny because I always had to like struggle to just keep getting comics. Period. Like just through different points of my life.
Right.
Uh, I always used to tell people like I would answer surveys and get paid for them, and that's how that was my comic budget. Like that's where I was at one
There you
point.
go.
And I have purged my collection at least 3 or 4 times in my lifetime to also just get rid of stuff. And it's not like I made a lot of money, but it was enough to keep going and getting stuff. So yeah, for now, I mean, pretty much all any money I have aside for that goes to indie comics. Like I mentioned earlier, a friend of mine did open a shop here in town, so I told him, I said, I'll find something to get from you. And they just announced that Maximum X-Men and the cover, I mean, the art is by Tony Daniel, who's, somebody that we grew up with in the 90s. And so I'm like, and it has characters that I actually recognize on the cover. I'm looking at it right now. It's got Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, Gambit, Bishop, Iceman. I'm like, for so long, like X-Men, because of course I followed the Jim Lee ones and stuff. I always tell people X-Men is like an ex-girlfriend for me. Like I used to check in on her once in a while, and I'm like, what's going on? And like, I don't understand what's happening in the X-Men world anymore. But
Right.
this cover looks very approachable though, not just because it's characters
Okay.
I know, but so I told my friend, I was like, that'll be my first official physical comic that I'll get from your shop. That's not an indie comic, that I've gotten in a long, long time. So,
Awesome. I very like so when I was a kid, I couldn't ever find comics. There wasn't really comic shops. It was a newsstand, news rack, and it used to piss me off because I'd find an issue that I really wanted to read, and I'd buy it, but then I'd go back and they'd never have the next issue.
mm,
It'd be like 6 months, they'd have like 6 issues later, and so it was always, so I had a love-hate relationship with comics as a kid, and my mom wanted to buy me books instead, and I hated reading novels, and so that didn't go over well. And it wasn't until my oldest daughter and I owned my game store. I had a comic rack. I didn't have like a lot, just the one little shelf of comics. And her and I got into like the Jason Aaron run of the God of Thunder series, and we both loved it. We'd read it together, and we had a great time with that. And then I had a second kid, and so I stopped all that and sold the store. So I didn't get into comics again until, a 2 years ago now. My youngest daughter discovered comics, and now I'm making up for lost time.
yeah.
As you can, I'm writing them, I'm reading them, I'm buying them, I'm doing everything I can, and we're doing, her and I, and it's just a journey. It's actually I'm kind of rebranding some of our logo stuff to that, the journey into comics, right? That's mainly what I've discovered that this podcast has become is a journey of her and I's journey back, right, into this world, and trying to be a member of this world and participate, and it's going pretty well. We're having a lot of fun and meeting some amazing people, and it's so much fun.
Yeah, you just gave me some PTSD though, where you said you couldn't find the comics. That's what happened with that Detective Comics 606, because it was at my local Stop and Shop.
Yep, where was
And
607?
yeah, exactly. I think it skipped to 609 by the time I got
Right.
back. You
So
know,
mad.
and our closest comic shop was like an hour away at the time.
Yeah.
And then later one moved about 25 minutes away, so I finally was able to start collecting for real. So
And I don't even know if there were comic shops where I live. I mean, it wasn't even something that was on my radar. Like I never knew something like that would exist. If it wasn't at KB Toys at the mall, or the comic news rack at the whatever
yeah.
bookstore we were in. I never seen them before, so I never even thought about comic shops.
Have you had Travis Gibb on your show yet?
I have not.
No, but you
Who's that?
familiar with him?
I do not.
He does the Cthulhu Invades books. He's done like Cthulhu Invades. It's Oz, Wonderland, then Neverland, and then like Fairy Tales.
Where's he from?
Florida. He's a big dude in the indie community.
Okay.
Yeah, he.
I'll look him up.
Yeah.
I had
No,
another guy that you confused me for a second, because I had this other guy on, but it wasn't him. But he
Okay.
does a lot of Cthulhu books, like fairy tale books.
Well, that's like his biggest one as far as like on Kickstarter, like makes the most. But I mean, he's got all his own separate series. I was just bringing him up because like he's a great guy to know in the indie community. And you were asking about like favorite ones. I mean, we have so many friends. It's like I could be here all night naming them all. But I just picked him because when I first saw his book, it was like the second one, which is Cthulhu Invades Wonderland, and I was just like, this is so cool because he basically brings different indie creators, and then they each get to write a story, and there's like a running narrative through the whole thing, but it's more like it's got a real anthology feel to it, even though there's like a running story through it because it's got different artists and doing little vignettes and whatnot. So it was a cool way to see lots of different indie talent all in one book, because a lot of these guys, or people do their own books, so you can kind of seek them out after if you liked what you saw in his book. So, but I just I liked that idea of like, okay, this is, and I've seen a lot of them since, this idea of the public domain characters and like finding new and unique ways, because it's so funny because I didn't even realize it. And like you said, you had a game shop. Did you ever have the card game called Smash Up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Do you remember the expansion they had that was literally called the obligatory Cthulhu expansion? Like that was the name of
I
it.
think so.
Because
I don't
they're
have
making
that one.
Yeah, but they're making fun of the fact that like everybody has to use Cthulhu at some point, right?
Right.
So it's one of those that's like, okay, if you're going to use them, like it better be something interesting. And so to me, this was really interesting. And in getting to know those books and read through them and learn and finally get to know Travis, met him in person this year. I'm
Sweet.
actually going to get to write a story for the new one, which is Cthulhu Invades the 100 Acre Wood. So, yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
So it's
Cthulhu's made this awesome comeback. There's a lot of like love letter Cthulhu Flux. I got a bunch of the Cthulhu
Oh, yeah.
little board games, card games, and stuff. The Cthulhu, it's the same people that do Love Letter, but it's called Lovecraft Letter.
Mhm.
It's a Cthulhu version of it. Is probably our all-time favorite game ever. We play that every time we go to like a game night or have game night. We play that first, like 3 rounds of it, and then we go play this other stuff. It's just such a great little card game.
Did you ever play any of Steve Jackson's games? He does like the Munchkin series.
Yeah, I mean, I played Munchkin, Cars, Car Wars.
He's right up the road from us, so I've got to meet him a couple of times.
Steve
especially when I'm at our
Jackson?
store. Yeah.
Heck yeah.
But he heavily also used Cthulhu. So
Yeah.
So Steve Jesse, that's your next thing. You just got to jump on that bandwagon and just use Cthulhu somewhere. Team Strike versus Cthulhu. No, La Chancla versus Cthulhu. Done.
There you go. Panel Pete destroys
$100,000
Cthulhu.
Kickstarter right there.
Yep.
That'd be good.
I can bring Cthulhu in with Panel Pete. So it's all right. We have too much fun. I'm loving doing like these little, like I said, I'm learning to draw, so I'm drawing like real characters, like main characters, whatever, just trying to draw. But then I'm like, every once in a while, I'll sneak like do a Panel Pete one, like our little mascot. I did like a pirate one today. Panel Pete is a pirate, and now I'm like, okay, I'm gonna write an 8-page story on, whatever, Panel Pete sails the seas. I don't know. That's the cool thing about the mascot. He can be anywhere, anytime, any universe, anything, right? So it's It's so much fun. But all right, the next question. It's a three-part question. I don't know whose fault it is, but somebody made me change it to a three-part question. All right, so you have to live in a comic universe. You have any superpower you want, and you have to pick any comic character to be your sidekick. Which one would you want?
Good Lord. Jesse, you take that one.
It's
So you live in any comic book universe, have any superpower you want, and any character as your personal sidekick. I used to ask all three of those independently, and then somebody was like, you should combine those. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. Jury's out.
comic book. Okay. Honestly, there's two worlds I wouldn't mind being part of. Archie, because nothing ever really goes wrong there, and I think that's really
right.
awesome. Or the Tick, because everything is ridiculous, and nothing ever really goes wrong there either. It's just ridiculousness, right?
Right.
And both of them have their fair share of superheroes in there. Well, I mean, I guess nothing goes wrong until Punisher comes and visits Archie. Then everything goes wrong.
And Predator now, apparently.
Or Jay and Silent Bob ride Archie, right?
And then you said, what superpower would I have within that world?
Yeah. So you live in the universe, you got the superpower if you want one, and you can have a sidekick, any sidekick you want. Any character as a sidekick.
Man, let me see.
He's Googling.
Yeah, no, I have to refresh my my memory here for some of this stuff here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. So in the Archie world, it doesn't really matter as long as Cheryl Blossom likes me. That's all I really care about. Yeah, I have an affinity towards redheads, so for me, it's all about Cheryl Blossom. So I don't care as long as I'm her Spider-Man. She's my Mary Jane. That'll be fine.
Love it.
In the Tick universe, though, that is an interesting one because it's all parody. I would want basically probably something a little bit Green Lantern-ish. I think with my creativity, I think that would make a really fun character. He'd probably be like the Green Flashlight or whatever parody kind of dynamic there. But Green Lantern powers in general, I think would make most comic universes bearable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd be a parody of Green Lantern, I think, in there. And then as my sidekick, I think in Archie's world, from that universe specifically, maybe I can work something out with either Sabrina or having a Jughead, be my sidekick kind of thing. I think there's a lot of fun in there. Sabrina could bring some actual useful magical powers to whatever my superpower would be. But in the Tick, oh man, there's just so many characters to choose. There's a lot of. Let me just go through a roster here real quick. Because Arthur obviously is amazing. Like he's a diehard, like he'll back you up. He's loyal to a T. But he's the Tick sidekick, so I don't really want to take that from him. Man, I might have to come back to you on this one because there's quite a bit of Tick ones that I think would be like how Bullet Head would be kind of cool. Oh, actually, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you're in the Tick universe, just take the Mad Bomber with you.
Well,
the Mad Bomber, what bombs at midnight.
Yeah, well, the thing is, Mystery Men is also a nice parody as well. And when I said
Yeah.
when I said Bullet Head, that's actually from Mystery Men, where he's like, "I'm Bullet Head." This kid comes out, he's like, "And I'm son of Bullet Head." So at that point in time, I'd want the Waffler to be my sidekick, because he keeps bad guys are history. How does it go? It goes, "I am the Waffler, Waffle Man. I am the Waffler. Bad guys are crispy. Crime is history," or something like that. Was his whole thing? Yeah, that's what I'd want. I'd want the Waffler.
I love it. All right, Joe, you're on the spot.
Good Lord. Yeah. I was going to say before he took it, I was going to be like, yeah, yeah. Because he brought up Archie earlier. I'm like, why don't we just go to the Archie universe?
Hey,
We're
right?
not
I
gonna
mean,
have
I've
to,
had
like,
people. Stephanie Phillips answered this question with Garfield. She just wants a fat cat that eats lasagna.
because I was going to say, if we're talking about other variations of that world, I mean, the ending of Riverdale was pretty interesting. They basically just get to live in that pocket universe forever. So, uh, if I get to live in there with Camila Mendes, I think I'll be okay. So,
There you go. Would you have a
and then,
superpower?
oh man, that's always a tough one because I'm like, as I get older, the powers that I want just get darker and darker, so I can deal with the problems in this world. So,
The older I get, I want the healing factor, regen,
oh, I know, right?
or the
No,
ability to heal others. Right? That would be cool. Like
I think
I spent a lot of time taking care of my parents, and it's 3-4 days a week we're at doctor's appointments and this and that. It would just be great just to be like, all right, you're healed. I can go do what I
yeah.
want now. Right?
I don't know. Time travel might be fun to actually see what some of the
Yeah.
things that we argue about in the past really look like. Um, and sidekick. I don't know. I was gonna say I'll just be silly. I can just take like Rocket Raccoon or something, just taking other people's arms.
Right. I love that. What is it? It's
He'll he'll go through time with me, and we'll just take different people's from history's arms. That are.
I need his arm or his eye or whatever. It's just
Oh yeah.
crazy. I love
Oh,
it.
that's true.
And his
Yeah,
eye.
we'll
What?
we'll go back and get Washington's dentures that were made out of wood or
Wood.
whatever.
There you go. Wooden dentures. All right, this is the last one that I have is and you both can answer this of course too. If your life were a comic book, what would the title be?
Well, that's too easy because that pretty
Hey.
much that used to. Well, it's funny because that used to be the title of How to Hunt a Hero. We used to call it Average Joe, a casual hero, and we might go back to that if we're talking about doing like a spin-off where it focuses on him instead. But yeah, that would probably just be the title of my life.
Average Joe.
Mm.
Love it. All right, Jesse.
It would probably be something like Rafaela, the feral Brazilian woman, something, and she's just comes out and is very, very
It's
much,
his wife's name, by the way.
yeah. They call her, or his wife refers to her as a feral Brazilian. Uh, but yeah, something like that. She's very, I don't want to say unhinged, but yeah, she's very much what's it called? What's the proper?
She's very passionate.
Um, well, it's what is it called when manic? She's very manic
Uh,
pixie girl.
and she's from Brazil where there's jungle, so that's where the thing she was like, I'm feral because I'm from the jungle. That was her thing that she came up with.
So what was the title you said first? What was it called?
Rafaela, the feral Brazilian
Rafaela.
woman,
Okay.
something like that.
Because it's all
That's
about
funny.
her. Jesse's just the
Feral Brazilian
just side
pixie.
character in his own
Yeah,
story.
yeah, basically. She,
I love that.
or she'd be a Pokemon trainer. One of those two, really.
She collect every Pikachu ever.
What's wrong with-
That woman has a shrine to Pikachu. So,
Well, my daughter's starting a Harley Quinn shrine back here, so I can't say much. I got a Thor shrine, so I was a big Thor fan, so whatever. Is there anything we haven't talked about that we need to talk about? I want to we need to go over where we can get your stuff. I got your website. Do you have any Kickstarters coming up or anything like that?
yeah, but there was one more thing I wanted to show. Kind
Sure.
of this, because I know. I think. I mean, I don't take it for granted, but sometimes I'm like, we come on and we get to do this together as friends, and it's like, we've been doing this for a long time, and it's one of those that I sometimes just have to stop and think. I'm like, we were always at a point where we were talking about this, and now we're doing it. Like, it's funny when we run into certain problems now. I'm like, yes, this is a problem we'll solve, but we're doing it. Like, we're
Right.
no longer in the we're gonna do this one day phase.
We're
So
doing it.
so the point of saying that is that I had one more book that I wanted to show. This one was actually our first Kickstarter,
Okay.
and all three of us are in. All three of our stories are in here. Jesse's,
Oh, sweet.
Malia's, and then mine and Roy's Highlight Heroes in here, and we still sell this book at convention. This one is $10, and it's a easy sell because it's like, I'll pitch them the other two for $5, and I'm like, but if you buy this one, then you get Jesse's story for free, basically.
So don't give me any money.
But,
Just give Joe money.
No, I give you recognition and all the praise, and but
You can eat on that, right? You
Yeah.
can pay your house payment on that. That's what I used to say the same thing, when they were like, "Oh, AJ, you're doing such a great job." I was like, "Well, how about giving me a raise?" Like, "Oh, we can't do that." It's like, I was like, "Well, I'll go see if my bank will let me buy a
Yeah.
house on good praise."
yeah,
And then they laid me off, so now I get nothing. So,
well, better than laying you out, I guess.
so I
but
got laid
yeah.
off May 1st.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, I've got the next Malia Kickstarter already up at pre-launch. If you just go to maliamayhem.com, it'll take you straight.
Send me
straight
that
to it.
link. Email me that link so I can make sure to include it in the show notes and stuff. Because I'll probably release this
Okay.
next Tuesday,
Okay.
a week from tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm looking to launch hopefully in October. The artist, she's
Okay.
working on coloring it right now. And
Awesome.
then yeah, for after that,
Joe, are you on Instagram?
it's the only one I'm not on anymore. I'm on everything
Oh,
else. Yeah,
Okay.
we
What's
got
wrong with
hacked.
Instagram?
We got
Oh, it got
hacked.
hacked.
We got hacked last
Okay.
year, and they won't give it back, and they won't give us a new one. So, because I think we're
Really?
dealing with nothing but AI now. I can't
Right.
talk to a real person.
It's a major pain. I hope that does not happen. I lost my Facebook 4 years ago like that and can't get it back.
I almost did because it's all connected, because it's all meta.
Right.
But whatever process they took me through, I was able to retrieve my Facebook. But then,
But not the Instagram.
no, it just was like,
All right.
no.
Well, what's your Facebook page? I'll search that. Is it
Uh,
Child's
I'll
Play?
that one still has the name of the store, which is Child's Play Games and Geekery. But I'll send you the link tree because that has everything.
Okay. Yeah. Send me that. Perfect. Send me that for sure. Joe, Jesse, do you have a link tree or anything?
Yeah, I got one. You can also access it through Joe's. We link to each other's.
Okay.
But
Perfect.
yeah, my website, at least for the comics specifically, is just dinoshop.store. I need to update my quantities. Like I said, after San Diego Comic Con, I just didn't want to deal with that for a bit. But I got to go in there
Yeah.
and update all that stuff here relatively soon. But that's basically where you
I'm
get
glad to hear that went very well for you. That's super cool.
Yeah,
I love hearing that.
it was nuts.
Good convention stories.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to, we're doing a couple local ones. We got one in like 2 weeks. There's this new CCS Charles something show. I don't know. They do it from here to Texas, apparently. And they've got like an old like Sears and Roebuck store, right, at a mall, like a rundown mall now, right? There's like 10 stores left. But they got one of those and they do shows like every weekend of different types. Card shows, nerd shows, comic shows, anime shows.
Yeah,
So I signed up, so we'll see.
they do that here at a old JCPenney. One of the guys they bought it up, and all they do is they hold conventions there. My problem is that they always bundle up the comic with the card shows, and so people are just there for cards. They're not there for comics
Really?
at all. Yeah. So
Well, so they have, so this one's doing, so this weekend they're doing a card show. The following weekend they're doing a nerd yard sale. So they'd say anything nerdy. And then in September they're doing actual comic. They said comic convention, comic creator convention. And then they're doing something else. I can't remember. And then they're just going to start rotating them, I think. I don't know. I'm going to go check it out. I don't know how they make money because the table's free. Okay, cool. Like, I'm all about a free table, especially since I don't make anything, on these books. it's free to enter. Like if you're just going, like I'm gonna go this weekend to the card one just to see the place and check it, just check it out. So it's free to park, free to enter, and free tables. How I don't understand how they're making money.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
I
it,
guess I'll learn it.
yeah, a lot of it could be a loss leader, like they take a loss on this, but they bring people to know the venue and stuff like that, or maybe they sell food there, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, maybe.
Or
I'll go learn it.
or maybe you guys get free tables, but the bigger vendors have to pay kind of thing,
Maybe. That could be it. So I don't know. I'll figure it out. Well, guys, this has been amazing. Thanks for joining. This has been a lot of fun. We'll have to please, when you guys have a Kickstarter, when you launch your Kickstarter, let me know. We'll get you in for do a pop in. My daughter and I record. Well, we record usually on Thursdays, but we've had to move it to Wednesdays for right now. But when we record, sometimes I bring people that have been on before back on the show, do a few minutes. They pop in for a few minutes, say hi to us, play a game or something, and talk about their Kickstarter real quick. So keep in touch with me. Let me know if you guys want to jump back on anytime.
Yeah,
Sure,
love to have you.
our next Kickstarters, I believe both of ours are going to be next year, right, Joe?
Well, I mean, I have Malia coming in October.
Are
Hopefully,
you doing that one?
so,
Okay, yeah. So there's that.
yeah.
My Teen Strike Chapter 7 and 8 will probably be first half of next year, probably on the earlier side, maybe April-ish or whatever, somewhere in there. And then I haven't had to do a Kickstarter for Jankla at all, which is kind of good because that leaves a lot of opportunities open for publishers that want to be the ones that put the book out, right? They always ask me,
Right.
like, have you done a Kickstarter, all this now? I was like, no, I haven't yet. I've just been selling my shows. So there's a lot of opportunity there that could happen. I do have another 18 plus book coming out for the witches of my Oz witches, which will probably be around October. I'm going to shoot for Halloween to try and be part of. See how that. What is it called? The Kickstarter.
Witch starter.
Witch starter. It was like Kick a
I think
Ween or
so.
something. Yeah. So I'm probably going to do that one then to see how that goes. And I should have my second Jankla book out, but it's going to be a one shot. And that's going to be, I'm just going to do that one at shows 2. And then my second Dinosaur Planet should be there. That's just shows. But yeah, as far as Kickstarters go, I think those are the only 2 I'm doing next year. I don't think I'm going to be doing.
Yeah,
any-
our Kickstarters are our bread and butter because it's getting harder and harder to do comic shows because they get so expensive. I mean, we
Yeah.
usually either split table or Jesse will cover it, or but some
Well,
of those
that's-
smaller ones.
Yeah, I mean, you take the money I spent 2 weekends ago to go to Terrificon, from North Carolina. It's a 14-hour drive, 12-hour drive. Hotels for 4 nights. Yeah, the table, this and that. Like you can't. It's so hard to make anything back. So I'm super excited about this CCS show because it's a free table. Like, I think I should have free tables. I talk about them on the podcast. It's advertising. And I mean, that stuff's starting too because like GalaxyCon Raleigh gave us press passes, which was super cool of
Nice.
them. So like we are growing to that, we're getting there. So it was super cool to be able to get a press pass for me and my daughter and, walk around and do some video and stuff. Sorry, I cut you off, Jesse.
No, it's yeah, I get it. I'm fortunate enough to where my job, I have a very stable job and it's well paying. So for me, I'm fortunate that I can take these big chances and take these
Yeah.
big swings because, I've been going on some pretty crazy adventures with these comics. Like, there's, I do Tokyo Comic Con as well, and
Oh, wow.
trying to get out into Mexico, and then they're inviting me out to Malaysia, and I said, well, as long as I can sell my comics there, yeah, I have the connections to go in all these places.
Right.
And so for me, the way I've always seen it, like with these local shows, yeah, I don't mind paying for the brunt of it because at the end of the day, I like to hang out with my friends, right? And so we could either just go and I'm still going to have to drive to the show. I'm still going to have to probably get a room. I'm still going to have to pay for passes, but all I'm going to be doing there is spending my money, so it's
Right.
just one of those where it's like, where's the priority there? So yeah, I could. It's the same thing with San Diego. San Diego, we're going. This is gonna be the first time I was gonna be there with Roy and my wife and all that. But at the last minute, this table dropped, and I was just like, I'm gonna take it. I have to take this. It would be almost irresponsible for me not to take this and at least try it. I still had to pay to get out there. I still had to pay everything. It's just now there's a chance for me to make money, and not that that's super important to me, but there's and more importantly, it's an opportunity to get these books into people's hands that might need it. There might be a kid out there that really finds joy in Teen Strike or something like that.
That's right.
And so that to me is always kind of like the important thing. And if I can hang out with my friends anyways, that's cool. After you go to so many conventions, they're all kind of the same, and so especially here in Texas, it's like the same vendors all the time. So,
Right.
I already, there's people that I go to and I'm looking for like one statue, and they already know me that I'm looking for that statue, and they're like, no, we don't have it. And it's like, okay, well, I'll come back the next show. And it's just so like the actual consumerism part of me is not necessarily too attractive to me anymore. Most conventions, like even when I go to San Diego Comic-Con, I go there and I walk around for a couple hours and then I leave. And it's just like there's so many people, and I'll come back tomorrow for another couple hours, and do other things. And so this way we all hang out together, we have our breaks. Hey, go check out the show. Okay, cool. And they go check out the show, they come back, we have stories, we get to hang out afterwards and all that stuff. And we all get to sell comics and spread the word. And I think that to me is kind of worth it. Um, yeah, that's
It definitely makes it worth it. I mean, that's what Terrificon was all for me, right? I got to meet my artists. I got to hang out with. Do you guys know the Homebrew Comics guys? Dan Price lives down there with you guys.
Yeah,
You guys.
we know Dan.
Yep, we
So
know that.
Dan, like I hung out with Dan and Chris and Mike. Like we all went out to dinner. Like it was great. Like I love that aspect. Like you, when I had my job, it was amazing because I had the disposable income to do it. Now that I don't have a job, it's a little bit harder.
Yeah.
And when I look at this, I always have to sit back and switch gears. When I did conventions before, when I did the miniature game accessories, it was a business. I had to sell product, to make product, to sell product, right? Like that was my goal. With the podcast, it's marketing, right? Like it's just straight marketing expense. So, and it's just weird to me, like not bringing in a lot of money, even though I'm selling a comic, selling some art now. It's still weird for me, but I just keep having to tell myself it's marketing. Like that's all it is. It's advertising the podcast, showing the journey, it's all part of the thing. And we have a blast. And we get to do cool side trips, like go into New York City and eat great pizza and, see the Statue of Liberty and, stuff like that. And my kid at 11 years old's been to, 29 states. So,
Nice.
I've, that's more important. That's what's more important to me. Right. So the journey for my daughter and I. But no, this has been amazing, guys. Thanks so much for joining. We got to hang out for a couple minutes after I hit the stop record button to make sure we're uploaded. But any final thoughts, Joe? You go first. Any final word?
Oh man, like we're pretty approachable. So if anybody ever wants to know how to get started in this, I always am free to send you the resources that which we use. It's all right there online. So
Awesome. Jesse?
No thoughts, only draw.
Draw. Hi, I'm a month in and I'm drawing every day and I'm loving it. Like I just cut a bunch more earlier today, but I am loving drawing these little just trading card size things. I just cut a whole stack, like 50 of them. I just keep here on my desk and I draw, and it's so much fun.
That's awesome.
We'll get there. So a lot of creativity coming. So, well, thank you all so much for joining, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Nope, that was the wrong button. I almost exited.
Thank you for listening to Talkin Comics Podcast, powered by Aquatia Media, helping creators make waves.